For some time now, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has been seen as the natural pick amongst the never Trump Wall Streeters to take on Donald Trump. He is considered more stable, more reasonable, more likely to actually successfully pursue their agenda than the wild, temperamental Donald Trump. The issue is that he's terrible when it comes to being a candidate, and he's suffered through a number of needless gaffes and this needless war with Disney, where now he's being sued for violating their First Amendment rights. And I'm not the one telling you that that's a concern. All of these sources on Wall Street are saying that that's a concern, and they are ready to throw him under the campaign bus. Here's some quotes from one Dave Carney, veteran Republican strategist, says people will change horses. You may get really excited about somebody and then all of a sudden realize, not really my cup of tea. Another GOP donor in New York says it was wait and see, and this is why. We're not the only ones who are happy with our decision to wait and see. One executive said DeSantis is certainly a better option than Trump at this point, but he's a really weak option. And so a bunch of these people rushed to Politico to tell them that they're looking for an alternative. All of that big right wing or just centrist Democrat money that was perfectly happy to have a Republican president as long as they cut taxes and stop regulation is now looking at DeSantis and thinking, this is like striking us as like another Jeb Bush, another potentially Ted Cruz. It isn't working out, and so they're looking for someone else. And it's funny that like just as this comes out, Donald Trump gets involved, saying DeSanctimonious put off his announcement until June because his numbers are so bad. He also got rid of his ridiculous exploratory committee because he didn't like what they were telling him. MAGA. And the thing is, look, we are very used to Trump like weirdly like gloating over people or lying and exaggerating all that. But right now, like I kind of feel like he's onto something. If you look at the polling, it's not looking great for Ron DeSantis. He had been narrowing the gap for a while with Donald Trump, and now he's at like close to an all-time low in long-term polling against him. So look, the idea that Wall Street is frustrated with their future, that gives me a lot of pleasure because I despise them. But it is bad news for Ron DeSantis. Ida, what do you think?
Well, if there ever was an indication that the people do not select their president and run the country, this is it, right? We have a whole bunch of rich people discussing a lot of, money people, donors discussing who should be the next candidate, who should get the most money put behind them. I read DeSantis has $80 million. Nikki has this $1 million. We have a whole city of people who don't have a place to live, where 30% of them are former veterans in this country, and another 20% of them are former foster children who have aged out of the system. So when you think about the fact that those numbers are like really, really big, and I may be wrong, they might be bigger than that. We sit here and think about all this money that is going towards the proper campaign for the proper person to make sure they put in the proper laws to keep the corporations making all the money, and the people continue to suffer and struggle. And it makes me furious to think about that kind of stuff, that the conversation around who is going to be of service to the people has nothing to do with the people nor the people's issues, but who can draw the most money based on looking the best for this campaign. And that is why people are moving to Canada.
Yeah.
This is why people, I know people who've moved to Canada, people who have left the United States, and those bigots will say, good, get out of here. Poor Native Americans, First Nations people who have to watch their land being destroyed in the way that it has been, and what is being prioritized above the planet and humanity. But it's just embarrassing that these are the choices for us. People who could give a damn, and poor people who will suffer the consequences the most, many of them are behind these people and don't even realize that they are actually feeding the monster that is going to crush them at the end. And I don't know, sometimes that makes me feel like, well, good, they're gonna get crushed. But then many people get crushed in the process who don't deserve to get crushed. So not good that they're gonna get crushed. If only they could get crushed alone.
We need more selective crushing. But yeah, in terms of the choices, then two, like think about it from the point of view of Wall Street. We're like, oh, DeSantis is like terrible. He's not likable and everything. Oh, we're gonna be stuck with either Trump, who is probably gonna cut their taxes again, at the very least would never raise them, or I don't know, maybe Biden beats them and then like they're quoted as saying like, we're gonna get stuck with this old guy who's gonna regulate and raise our taxes. Who? Which old guy? You're talking about Biden, he's gonna raise your taxes? He might campaign on it. He might put a bill forward. What are the chances that's actually gonna happen?
And they're all old guys. They are all
old guys, yeah. Yeah, Ron DeSantis is younger than them, but he's still an old guy in his mind, in his interests, in his politics.
Based on those, the ageist ideologies, they're all old because what? You're old now once you turn 35. So change the rules and let somebody younger get in office that has that blood that really wants to make change.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.